All right. So we're looking at today's chart. You see at 5:15, 2023. At 8:50, we had a triple five. Of course, you've probably already figured that once we once the charts are plotted, we can see this perfectly. Ooh, I could have gotten in there. I could have gotten in there. Um, and anybody could teach you, hey, this is the entry area, but the charts are already complete. So of course you can see everything clearly. So we need to, I want to say, anticipate what's going to happen. All right. So if we just focus on the 5 minute, okay. If we look at the 5 minute, we have a triple five with 3 bars. We came from up here, came down. Let's see if I can get an arrow here. All right. My pointer is that. Okay. I see why. All right. Back here again. This is my pointer. Okay, so we have a triple five. We, based off of what we learned, we're going to wait for that fourth bar. We did have a red bar dot. I haven't really messed too much with the term bar dots, but we have 3 bars. And if we look at our, let's see, if we look at our what's happening here, this green line here, this is where we are on the oscillators. Yes, the oscillator looks like it was turning up, but it's a lot slower. So we don't know if it's going to turn up. One of the things that I like to use, and I've made mistakes, one of the things that I like to look at is the TSL2. Is it right next to, um, is it right along my TSL1? If it is, I'm going to wait till it kind of starts to shoot a little bit further down because it's going to lead the way. So if my TSL2 is right here and it looks like it wants to turn up, then I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off here. It starts to turn up. If we look at it right here, same thing here, right? We had this, and it looked like TSL2 is over here at the bottom at this point, and it looks like we want to turn up. All right, and what do we see? What do we see here on the 1 minute? Well, we have price action coming up pretty much at this entry point right here at the end. This is the ideal entry point. Right here is the ideal entry point, and right here. We, as new traders, we wouldn't have jumped into it because we were skeptical, or we're going to wait for the fourth bar, or we don't know how to read the TSLs. From what you were telling me is that you jump in. I'm giving you a good example here. It's what I was looking at. So we tend to make trades based off an assumption in the beginning. So right here, we see that the TSL 1 is going down, right? So where is it at this point? It's right here. I'm going to make a little circle there. So we're here. And we're most likely here on the 5 minute, and we are definitely in this area on the 2 minute. Okay, what's happening? This TSL is also, delete that. So we see the TSL, we're jumping in, we're like, hey, it's pointing down, and it's pointing down. Hey, we're good. We jump in right here. This is where we want to jump in. If we jump in with all the action that's happening here, we jumped in way too early because we didn't wait for a setup. We know that if we follow the TSLs, we're going to be good if we jump in here. But the only thing that you can do now is you need to take profit. You need to take profit based off of this trade because you jumped in on the 1 minute. Because we jumped in on the 1 minute, we can only assume that we can take this trade right here. Because if we stay in there all the way up to this point, if we stay up here to this last point, it's going to come down, it's going to come up, it's going to come down, and by the time it hits here again, we've already been stopped out because we lose, our delta starts to lose value. It's gaining value, it loses value. So you've already lost maybe 5 cents. So instead of 15 cents or 30 cents, now you're at 25 cents. And if we come back down here, right here it would be, before it would be 150 here, but because it lost value, now we're at $100 here. And we come up here, by the time we hit here, it's most likely going to stop us out because the delta has lost value. We're buying the way we buy our deltas is a 1 day. So they're going to expire very quickly. And they're going to be more expensive in the beginning. And by the time you get here, they're going to be about 50 cents less. So that's just a little bit more advanced stuff that we need to understand. So I'm going to erase. Okay, so we go back to the 5 minute. If we jump in on this bar, we've already passed the 76 or the 75 like Joe Jackpot likes to call it. Let me get a line here. We've already passed our 75 cents, 75% here. Okay, and we're already here. We've already passed our 75%, but that doesn't mean okay, jump in. We need to look for confirmation. So we have 3 bar, 555. Okay, here we have a moving average bounce, just a little bit more confirmation. And let's look at our oscillators where we're at. Right here we have a slingshot on the 1 minute. And over here we have a lightning bolt. Somewhat of a lightning bolt there, right? And this is where that little lightning bolt was taking effect. But it took a long time. So the 5 minute didn't turn up. If the 5 minutes turning up strong and you're on a put, it would be a good idea to get out of that trade with some profit. Even if you have that's just where I would leave it. Okay, but if you see, if we look at the time frame, so if we look at this time frame, I'm going to put a box. We're going to go with a yellow box. So we look at the time frame here. All right, by the time, if we look and we look here and we look here. So remember what you were saying, by the time I get on the 1 minute, it's pointing down, which you would have, based off of what you're talking about, we would have gotten in here. Okay, because we're pointing down, but there's not enough confirmation because we don't have enough evidence here. You're only basing it off of 1 bar. We're jumping in way too early. All right, so if we look at how many waves, 1, going up, 2. We can count these little ones, right? 1. Oh, it's coming up. It's faking me out. What would keep me in this trade is the fact that this TSL2, the TSL2 is not shooting up like this is. The TSL2 is not shooting up way up here like this one, or this one, or this one. See, when the TSL2 is moving up, this is going to follow it. All right, here we didn't go up, so because it didn't even break the 25, I'm still in. It comes back down. I'm not worried about it. It starts to come up. I'm going to say, okay, well, it's coming up. I'm going to be thinking about getting out in this area right here. If it continues, if this thing continues up, but the 1 minute started to do a slingshot. Okay, if we look at the 2 minute, it didn't even go all the way up. Right here, that TSL2 stayed low, so it gives me a little bit more confirmation that we're going to keep coming down. Yes, it's going to come up. We take our, if you look at here, this is 85 cents. It's an 85-cent move. For you to survive on the 1 day trade, for you to survive on this one, if we get lucky, to survive on this one, you need at least a 2 or maybe a 3 day, which is going to cost more. In other words, you're not buying today's expiration, you're buying 3 days out, which will give you a little bit more time to keep the value of your delta. Technically, by the at the end of the first day, you're going to start losing a lot of value on it. So that's why we want to wait for this confirmation here. So we hit 82 cents. It did a lightning bolt, which a lot of people, once it hits that 82 cents, go ahead and get out. For people that are more experienced, I'm not going to say that I'm in that boat, but for people that are more experienced, they wait for that lightning bolt. They know they didn't pass this moving average, and they start to come down. Why? If we look, the TSL5 is still coming down. The TSL1 on the 5 minute is still coming down. That's why the 5 minute is king, because it's going to tell you how long it's going to be. We're talking about 30 minutes. 30 minute time frame. Right here, 30 minutes. Right here, 30 minutes. So at 15 minutes, we could have gotten out here, took our profit, and I would say that's what you want to do. I would take profit even earlier. As it comes down, once it hits a certain point, $150 profit, I start moving my stop loss. And sometimes if it comes down, I move it back down. So this is a good example again, right? Remember, if we get in right here, because it's coming down here, and because it's coming down on that first bar, by the time it spikes back up, you're already out. We need to get confirmation. So what is our confirmation? I'm going to try to erase some of this. Erasing the boxes. Okay, so what is our confirmation? We have a 555. Usually by our training, we're told to wait for that fourth bar. But we already have oscillators here coming down. Oscillators already here at the past the 50. And then we have the oscillator already. It's under the 50. It came up, which would scare you, but right here, this slingshot gap. Slingshot gap, we're still pointing down, and we're definitely pointing down on the 5 minute. So you get in. You get in on that third bar. You can wait for the fourth bar, or you can even wait till you get here, but it's a little too late because it could retrace. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I know it might have been too much. We're at 14 minutes. So maybe you'll watch this video and you can ask questions based off of that.